Well, check it out, y'all. We got what you need. We're all living in apartments, condos, vans. Well, dude, even you can have a studio in a box. Yes, we can help you with that right here at Blind Knowledge. We work on your budget and we figure out your measurements. We'll get you the best sound for the best price. Let me know, 877-237-1143 or at blindknowledge.com. Yep.
Spectres all around me, living in stark, blazing the dark. One by one, pictures gather round me. Where those moonflowers used to lost no more. Spectres gather round here, living in stark, blazing the dark. Night by night, stare into the black where moonflowers used to grow.
Welcome back, everybody, to your favorite entertainment show at night, Paranormal the New Normal. I'm your host, Jeremy, as always, trying to bring some normalcy to this world. Does it ever freaking happen? No. And do you think it's gonna happen with a major solar event happening in about 4 days? I don't think so. I think it's 4 days. I could be off by there too. Shoot me. But it's happening soon, and things are getting less and less normal every freaking day. We just had a snowstorm in April. I am done with this world today, but the good news is I have an amazing guest to talk to tonight that I've been looking forward to for weeks, and I am so happy to have her on. Ladies and gentlemen, the guest tonight is Miss, let's see if I can do this right, Miss Anastacio. I fucked it up, folks, but Miss Anastacia Anastacio, and I probably just fucked it up a little too, but it get close enough. But more importantly, she is the Spiritual Goth, a nickname I adore and love. And she is a tarot reader, among other things. We're going to get into all that in a few minutes. Don't you worry, as always. How you doing tonight, Anastacia?
Doing great. It's a nice, gloomy, rainy day, even though it was super sunny yesterday. What can we ask for? What more can we ask for?
See, you guys out there on the West Coast, just be happy you got rain. We got 8 inches of snow, like out of nowhere.
That's
and when it's going to be 61 degrees on Monday. Explain this, Mother Earth. Explain this to me. How does this happen? Oh, okay, that's a lie. I know how this happens, but still, I want explanations. But anyway, we're not here to talk about the weather. Let the boringness for that. We are here to talk about some of the greatest topics ever, and start off with, what brought you down this paranormal path that you now follow?
Yeah, so when I was maybe 3 years old, I would see spirits in my home, and I was always very scared. I remember specifically walking to the bathroom at night and always seeing this woman peering around the corner in our childhood home, and I just knew that I had gifts, but my family was very Christian, so I did not think that any of these gifts were good. I thought that they were probably evil spirits. And so I kind of was really afraid for most of my life until recently.
Oof. Jumping right out the gate with a big one like that. I love it. I freaking love it. 3 years old, though. My God. I mean, I literally would have probably shit my underoos and ran to my mom's room. I swear to God. Like, that's how it would have been. That's how it would have been. But, yeah, the fact you didn't do that, 1, damn. 2, so did you ever possibly, like, look back to see if you could figure out who that ghost was, by chance? Just out of curiosity?
I did. So, as I got older, I started to ask questions, and it turns out that the woman who was the previous owner died in the house.
Always the most logical answer, but you gotta love that. It's the best answer.
Yes.
I live in a house with the same. They didn't die in the house, but I mean they still are here because ghosts don't need to stay in one place. But escape, puppy. Moose, really? How'd you escape, buddy? You better behave.
My dog is like trying so hard to like get on top of me right now too.
He somehow got out of his crate. I don't quite know how he does it. Moose, no, no gloves, no gloves.
We love a
Sit,
scrap.
buddy. Yeah, he's a beast. But oh, ew, don't eat tissues. But yeah, so so as you got older, when did you start realizing you had these abilities that you didn't quite understand?
I think it's pretty immediate. I've always been a very astute child. Like I am very self-aware. I knew that I had these gifts, but I did not think that they were. I was told that they were bad. So I was told that I should block it off, that I should shut my third eye and just kind of like forget that it ever happened, even though I had night terrors like every night until I was like 18 years old and didn't sleep very well and had a lot of issues because of this experience, actually, because of this gift.
I mean that's so. The tarot card reading. When did that be? When did you start actually practicing that? Because tarot card reading always fascinated me. I have a couple close friends that could do it, and it always just really fascinated me. When did you start kind of opening that veil, I should say?
Yeah, so it's not until COVID that I started to get into that. I had a a friend come over to my house and I had tarot cards and I was like, "Do you want a reading?" And when I gave her the reading, the words kind of flew out of my mouth. I had never touched a deck in my entire life and I just knew that it was what I was supposed to do. So it really is by like happenstance. Like it just happened. I was watching a girl do tarot readings on Instagram, bought a deck, my friend came over, I gave her a reading, literally opened up shop 2 weeks later, which is crazy. I don't recommend people to do that. I was just very confident.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that to anybody either, honestly. Don't mess around with things you don't know about, folks. That's just a good lesson for life. But
Unless you're very gifted and you know that you're gonna be good at it and like.
yeah, you gotta be gifted. I mean, oh, okay. I mean, I kind of knew I was gonna be good at podcasting, but that was also a drop in the hat. Didn't really think it would ever become anything. And 2 years later, here we are, over 2 years later. But so, is there anything? Is there any special? Is there anything special about you that gives you like a little edge in the supernatural field? I gotta ask. 'Cause, I mean,
Absolutely.
everybody has that little niche, like thing that pushes them.
Um, what do you mean exactly when you ask that?
Well, I mean, it could mean anything technically, but it's more just along the lines of like I know people who I know tarot card readers who were deep in depression, and that helped them get out of it by bringing it out. People with anxiety, it helps calm them because if they can know the future, then they're not as anxious about everything coming. So, I mean, just different. There's a lot of different aspects that can be played with tarot card reading that will help a person mentally, spiritually, physically, even physically sometimes. Don't ask me how. I can't explain these things, but I just like to talk about them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that tarot came to me at a time when I was at my lowest of low. I was at a point where I was dealing with suicidal ideation. I was locked in my house for 4 months because of COVID. It really came to me at the time where I was able to communicate with the spiritual beings that are helping me through life. And that's what drew me to tarot, the idea that I can actually communicate with these entities that are my support system. And once I was able to unlock that, then yes, there was a lot of healing that came through from that.
I mean, I mean, yeah. Well, once again, the amount of see, this is why I don't always think COVID was a bad thing per se,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it brought so many people into new things that they never knew they could do, they never knew they could experience. I mean, so many people in the supernatural field got into it because
Yes.
were in lockdown and had nothing else to do. So I know people that started astral projecting during it, taking
Right.
classes to do that. People that got into tarot cards, people that got into trying to open their medium side a little bit. Like,
Mhm.
it's just the insanity. It's COVID does a lot of great things. But I mean, it's just a crazy thing, like how this works. Like, and I mean, I guess you could say at the end of the day, it's all fate. Like it's all fate. It's all destiny. We're all meant to do these things, but but it doesn't always mean we do them. We don't. Not everybody falls to call it fate like they should. That's the difference. That's the difference between a lot of people is either you're going to listen to fate and become something greater than you are, or you're going to avoid it completely and just get stuck in a rut, kind of get stuck where you are on every plane. But
Yeah.
sorry, I had to keep grabbing everything from my dog. Wants to eat it. He's a he's a freaking shark. He likes to eat everything he gets his hands on. Ain't that right, you little shark? Yes, you are.
Mhm.
Go lay down like you were. Be a good boy. Uh, so, as a tarot card reader, I'm assuming that you work a lot with past lives as well, because most tarot card readers, I mean, tarot cards and past lives are kind of intertwined.
Kind of. I don't think a lot of tarot card readers are attuned to past lives, but I do specialize in past life regression therapy as well.
I mean, that's which is fascinating. Past lives have always very much fascinated me. Sorry, I'm getting pushed forward by a 150-pound dog, but really, dude, you really want to sit behind me like this? Okay, if you grab the difficult pain in the butt here. Oh, now you move. Could I call you pain in the butt? Swear to God. New co-host, I think. But you're gonna be a pain in the butt tonight. Yes, you are. So, what drew you to doing past lives? Like, what made you? Was there like someone special, or was it your own past lives that interested you?
Definitely my own past lives. I knew that there were some things in this lifetime that I was constantly thinking about and having like intrusive thoughts about. For example, like drowning in a car or dying in a fire. These are recurring dreams that I've had, recurring nightmares. There were a lot of recurring images that I had since childhood that I knew came from somewhere. And when I started delving into my past lives with a past life regressionist, I found how important it is for us to clear those timelines so that we can move forward in this lifetime. So when I do past life regressions, I'm helping my clients not only find out who they were in their past lives, but also clear any past life karma or any sort of phobias or traumas that they're carrying with them in their current state.
Of course, I mean, I was supposed to have my past life readings done so long ago, but just the person supposed to do it had an emergency that day, and it never happened. And like, I'm just like dying to know, am I somehow related to King Arthur? What was I? Just was I royalty at some point? It feels like I should have been. I don't know. It's just high ego, I guess. But I always just felt like I was royalty at some point in life, and I want to figure out if that's true or not. But
That's funny. And if you feel it, if you feel that way, it's probably true.
yeah, I mean, my wife wouldn't be happy you said that because she hates my ego. But
That's hilarious.
but well, as you're getting so from what I've seen, because I was looking at your website and all that and everything else you do, you're a life coach as well, which I
Mhm.
find amazing that you want to help people like that. How do you balance all these different abilities into life coaching as well? Like, is the overlap too much sometimes, or does it all kind of work out in sync?
It's a very good question. So, when I started to go down this spiritual route, I learned everything. I learned Reiki, tarot, mediumship, past life regression therapy, everything. And I packaged all of my skills and the modalities that I do into my coaching program. So it isn't separate, it's more like a bundle of everything that I do in one program. It's a 12-week program where we go through each of the modalities so that the person can get all of the healing and experience the healing that works for them.
That's perfect. I mean, it sounds like you have the whole plan there in one nice little bundle, and it works perfectly.
It does.
I mean, folks, if you're gonna have a life coach, why wouldn't you want them to have abilities of some kind? I mean, if they don't have abilities, and I'm not putting life coaches down here because I love life coaches, I have a couple that are friends. I mean, they're great people regardless. They're going to give you good advice, but they can't see your future. They can kind of maybe predict it based on things they know, but they can't see your future. They can't delve into it.
Right. Which I would consider
But
myself more of a spiritual coach than a life coach.
true,
But
I guess good way to put it. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, if you want to
But
learn more about like how to tap into yourself and your spirit guides and everything, then you come to me.
ooh, that's interesting. Actually, been trying to do that for a while, but I kind of stopped doing it about 6 months ago. It's because I got busy, but with other things in life. But basically, I mean, I was trying to do it for a long time because I was advised I should. I worked with a Reiki master for a long time to try to open things up, and it was slowly starting to work. But then life just got crazy. Life just got crazy, and as it does, and everything in that area kind of just kind of didn't have room for it anymore, unfortunately. But maybe I'll get back to someday when things calm down a little. Maybe we'll see.
Recommend it.
Trust me. I trust me. I'd love to. I'd love to. But trust me, listeners, you'll know if it does. I'll tell you about all this stuff always. So, when you say you're going to help someone achieve their mastery, though, what does that necessarily mean? Because how do we know if we achieved our mastery, if we've done what we're supposed to do in this life?
I think mastery to me is alignment. It's just like I feel mind, body, soul in alignment. I have tapped into radical acceptance of where I'm at. I am connected to my divine mission. That's what mastery is. Of course, there are so many things in life that we are going to feel that we fall short on. But mastery to me is a mindset. So I'm helping people to achieve the mindset of I have unlocked my best life. I know how to manipulate reality and make it my own. I'm huge into philosophy. So for me, I used to be a nihilist, but now I'm more into existentialism. And for me, it's like the idea of existentialism is life has no meaning, but I can give it meaning. And when you give it meaning and you stick to that meaning, that's what I call mastery.
Yeah, okay. I could kind of see that. Kind of like as much as I hate this example, kind of like a hardcore Christian who gives it the Ned Flanders of the Christianity world, people. That's kind of like mastery, if not over mastery even, but that's kind of like mastery, in an aspect at least. So
In an aspect, yeah. I mean, if that's the life they want to give themselves, I don't know. Christianity is a huge trigger for me.
yeah, trust me. My listeners already know how I feel about religion. I don't need to go into it again. But yeah, I am not a fan myself of organized religion.
Yeah.
I'm more a fan of spirituality, and I mean, hell, you can worship aliens and I'll respect it more than I respect Christianity. So put it that way. But well, actually, kind of one and the same almost in a way. But okay, we're not gonna get into that. Oh, actually, fuck
Aliens
it.
and religion?
I mean, well, I mean, when I say aliens and religion, I mean like I am under the belief, as like a lot of people in the paranormal world, that when people think of a god, an Allah, whatever you want to call it, on this planet, it's really most likely, if anything, an extraterrestrial entity of some kind. I've been told it's just molecules and atoms floating around, and like a kind of like they kind of got it perfect on Futurama when Bender met God. But I mean, I've been told it looks like that, exactly like that, basically, by multiple people. I've been told it's not really an entity, even. It's kind of just an omnipotent voice that you hear that you know what it's supposed to be. No matter what you call it, it's going to be what it's supposed to be, which is a creator at most. I mean, I don't by any means I only like to use the word creator because of the Christian concept behind it, but it's just something had to start it all. And if anything it has to be an intelligent species that was here before us. And there can't only be one because science. There can't be one of anything in this universe. It just doesn't work that way. So there's got to be more than one. Where are the rest? That's my question.
It's a good question.
Which, I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about that? I guess is before I go any further.
I mean, when it comes to the idea of like God and aliens and everything, I I honestly just believe God is whatever you think it is. I honestly just feel that God is a concept. I don't think that God has any sort of look or feel. I know what I would call like God energy is. I think God is just energy. God is life force. God is all of us. So I have a very like different perspective of not trying to make God tangible in any way. Aliens, on the other hand, very different experience with them because I have experienced them on many different levels.
Okay. And the wormhole just opened, folks, and we're jumping head first because oh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll ask the most simple question I could possibly ask here, or not even a question, more of a statement. Please do tell.
Okay. Okay, so when I first started my spiritual journey, I started to follow this woman who is now a Christian and she's like very devout, but she helped me to align with different energies that are around in the universe. So I'm sure you've heard of the term starseed.
Oh, one of my first guests on the show was a star seed. I just actually, and yes, watchers, if you didn't catch the original Global Strangeness episode, it's coming out, I believe, next Wednesday, with our study of star seeds on Global Strangeness, including the one and only Earth Angel Shante, always who was one of my first star seed in my show. So I loved having her on both shows. She's an amazing person. So yes, I am well versed in star seeds. I 100% believe in the concept. I 100% believe it's a real thing. So
Awesome.
please do continue.
So when I first started my journey, I started to really connect with the Arcturians that come from the Arcturus constellation. It's actually pretty wild how much they have really shown themselves to me. I created my spiritual coaching program while channeling the Arcturians. So a lot of everything that I do, I kind of like attribute to the Arcturians. When I did my first past life regression with a popular regressionist, the Arcturians actually chose to speak through me and talk with him, and he was having a conversation with them. It felt like my entire room was filled with ET species that I can only it's really hard to explain, but he and I both felt it. And they were literally as a collective speaking through my body. I have the recording. It's pretty insane. And in other instances, I was in Hawaii. I did just do ayahuasca, but after the trip, there were a ton of spaceships in the sky. I have 5-second clip video. That's all they let me record. And these spaceships were literally headed towards the brightest star in the sky, which is Arcturus. They've just really shown up in so many different ways to me that I just can't explain the connection. They're just so real. In fact, this is something that I will mention very quickly because I don't want to get too much into it. I had a friend recently, and I'm going to talk to him tonight as well to get more into this. Contact me because during a meditation he saw the Arcturians, and they told him to contact me. He and I had not spoken in like a year. He had no idea what starseeds were, who the Arcturians were. He had no idea that I was affiliated with them, but they told him to contact me. And so it's just insane how they have shown up in my life. But yeah, these aliens are very real.
Okay. One, talk about fucking synchronicity. My God.
Oh no, you're
First you bring
the Arcturians.
first you bring up star seeds, which I just edited episode 4 literally last night. And then the episode I edited before that last night, which comes out Saturday, is with Dean Graves, who wrote a book about keeping up with the Arcturians. And quiet boy. And I mean, it's just the fact that you're the synchronicity of that. I was just editing an episode about that and literally putting that name in the title of the episode, and then you come on and you're talking about them as well. I mean, I'm not saying they contacted me. I freaking wish some alien species would contact me. I wish, but no, they didn't contact me. But I have been having weird dreams lately, though. But I don't remember them, so that doesn't do shit. But I mean, it's just the synchronicity of that. Like literally, as soon as you said it, like I don't even know if you saw my face. I mean, I can't wait to watch that replay. Actually, because my face was probably priceless. I know for a second I was just like jaw drop, like what? I was not the alien name I was expecting to hear today. Like I was, because that show I just edited was the first time I ever heard that name. No other Star Series ever brought up that name. I've heard Palladians. I've heard. Palladians. The other ones I can't think of the name right now. Anunnaki. I've heard, but like from Star Seeds. But Arcturians. This is the second time it's been on this show, and the fact that I'm editing one episode that I recorded back in December, and I'm doing another one now in April about it, is just mind blowing.
It's like I'm not surprised. It is definitely for me because, as I said, this friend told me this a month ago. I just got back from Europe and I'm going to speak with him after this session with you. So it's like, I think they're just like sending me a message of like, yeah, this is what you're meant to do. There's a lot of work that I have to do with them and they're just constantly sending me messages and I need to tap more. I need to tap in with them.
I mean, that's how it seems to work with them. Like they're very mysterious in the way they work, and
absolutely
their messages. But they have a lot of messages always. They always have a lot of messages for people, and they want people to figure out what's going on. They do. They're not like the other alien races that want to like kind of play games in the shadows and not really reveal themselves yet. Like from what I've heard, the Arcturians actually are in it for the end game, which good or bad, I don't know yet, but. I would assume good. I would assume good, but
yeah,
I gotta play the skeptic at some point.
Yeah, I think the Arcturians are very concerned with spreading the like whatever messages they have, and they're very like rational and scientific, and they don't have a lot of emotions, and they're the teachers. They're the teachers of the star seeds. So that is what they're meant to do. That is their purpose. So I believe that I'm meant to be one of the teachers. And so that's basically what their end game is, to teach.
To teach. I mean, to teach what exactly though? Like, what are they trying? What's the end game for teaching? Like, every creature in this universe has an end game of some kind. I think most of them are for the genuinely good purposes, but I mean, I'll just say reptilians do exist. So I mean, there are the bad ones out there to begin with. So you got to hope the rest of them are going to be good. I mean, and based on the stories and legends we all heard from Starseeds and previous times, then yes, they were mostly good, except for the reptilians, and maybe one little group of Anunnaki who weren't so nice. But the rest of them were all pretty good. So. I mean, the Arcturians are, like I said, haven't been brought much though, so they're the ones I know the least about. I've heard the least about them, so my mind is still adrift with what they may want to do.
Yeah, that's understandable. I think like the entire, from what I've gathered from them, it's to raise the vibrations of the collective so that we can actually like not end up in the way that other galaxies have ended up in, like war and all of these things. So from what I've gathered from them, it's very positive. But yeah, I mean, I think skepticism is good.
So I gotta ask before we move on: have there been any other experiences with the extraterrestrial variety before we move on? Because we love extraterrestrial experiences on this show, and we don't get enough of them.
Yes. So actually, when I was around the same age as the time that I saw that woman in our home, I distinctively remember, this is one of my core memories, being at least 3 to 4 years old and seeing a blue, what I thought was angel, but now I realize it's probably an Arcturian because they are blue. a blue woman, very tall, like 7 feet tall, in my room, glowing, just standing there watching me sleep. My brother and I have the same exact memory, so it definitely happened. We were both sleeping in the same bed together. That was my first interaction with them.
That's kind of sounds like something out of an 80s movie, which is how awesome that is. Because I mean, I who doesn't dream of that? Like, who doesn't want that to happen to them? I mean, well, okay. There are definitely times you don't want that to happen to you. I mean, we've all heard the stories of Greys and what they do when they're standing in your bedroom, so we don't need to go off that. But
I'm like, of course it was in the 90s, though, just saying.
of course, I mean, of course, and I'm sure in the perfect world, Fox Mulder would have been running into your bedroom as it happened, like, got one. But yeah, it's just it is what it is. So, what? All right. So, what was your most memorable tarot reading experience? Like, what was the most memorable client you ever had? And you don't have to give names, obviously, or anything like that. But
This is always a hard question because I've had such insane stories with my clients. But in terms of tarot, I mean, I've had instances where I think the instances where people from their past come through are the most memorable. So I had a client with like for her mother who passed like came through and she started to share how she was doing and what she expects of her moving forward and how she is supporting her. I think those are the most impactful readings because it not only helps people to see that they're able to connect with their own future, but they're also able to connect with the other side because I'm not just a tarot reader, I'm also a psychic medium. So I'm also able to kind of tap into spirits who have passed. I think what's most memorable to me though are my past life regressions, honestly, a little bit more than my tarot readings because now talking to dead people is so normal to me. But in some of my past life regressions, seeing the connections that happen and seeing what my clients experience, it's just a lot more everlasting. For example, there's a client that I had who we did a past life regression with one another, and she was seeing herself walking through a village, but no one could see her. So I had to kind of tap into my intuition, and I was like, what do you mean no one sees you? Are you dead? So she's in a past life regression, but she's walking and she's dead and she doesn't know she is dead. So I had to literally help her cross over. So that means that there is a piece of her soul that is alive in the present, but there was a piece of her soul that was still wandering around the universe thinking that she's alive in the 1800s. And I had to help her cross over by reminding her that she died. And I think that was like one of the most memorable things that has ever happened to me.
that's insane. I mean, that's awesome in a way too, because it's like you. I mean, I love crossing over stories. I really do, because it's just such a always a cool thing. But I mean, you're helping a spirit, which is one less angry spirit here on Earth, which is a great thing. So
Exactly. But I'm helping a spirit that was once my client. So it's so trippy.
I know that's like an ayahuasca trip done right. I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
It's like it really that one experience helped me like to realize how the universe works. It's like everything is happening parallel. Like all of our past lives are happening at the exact same time. Time doesn't exist. So it
Oh,
really helps you to frame things in a different way.
I believe. I mean, that's the same way I've been taught to think. Basically, by doing the show, is that time is a very fluid thing. It's not just one straight line like everybody thinks it is. Like it's very fluid. Like you can go back and forth as you wish. I don't think you can go forward too much without breaking. I think that breaks the rules of nature, and that's not a good thing. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I
I,
did a few future life progressions on clients and they just didn't feel right to me, so I stopped doing it.
I can imagine. I mean, I could definitely imagine it would. Something would not want you to do it. I don't know what to call it, what to assume it is. But something would not want you to do that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, they allow us like glimpses with tarot readings or
Yes.
medium psychic medium readings. Like, it's just those things allow us a little bit of a glimpse, but that's about as far as we're gonna get. You're
Yeah.
not gonna be able to go jump forward 100 years and be like, "Oh, we shouldn't have done that in the 2024 election." Okay, but
Yeah.
which I have a feeling we're gonna say that either way. But you know, whatever.
Absolutely.
Not a politics show. So, but I don't know. But being that you are a psychic medium, I guess I could ask the other question I love to ask mediums all the time. Yay! My favorite question. What is the happiest experience you had doing a reading? Like one that brought you tears of joy, basically. Always gets me a good story, so I freaking love this question.
I had a woman come to me trying to contact just actually she just came in very open. She was like, I don't know who I want to contact. I just want to try this. I want to see who comes through. And I had a childhood friend come through for her. Came through very, very strong. And this is someone that passed when she was like 18, who she hadn't connected with, who she didn't know was one of her main spirit guides, but was. And I think that was really memorable to me because this is a young person contacting another young person who was a friend, who wasn't even a family member, who she felt that she had to give solace to let her know that she was still there and still around. I think a lot of times we always think that our family members are still with us, but we don't realize that sometimes we make a really strong impact on our friends too. So that when they pass, they can also become our spirit guides. They can also still be with us. And I found that to be really really amazing. And one of my gifts is when someone passes, I can feel where in their body they had pain before they passed, and I could feel exactly what she was feeling beforehand, and I was able to kind of just deliver that news to this woman, and it was very emotional.
I can imagine. I mean, I actually had a medium tell me when I was doing one of these episodes. She told me after, like it was over, like off camera. She's like, "Just so you know, your friend Brian is with you." And I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, he died back in 2017 in the trailer we lived in together burnt down,
Oh
and yeah, while he was in it,
my god.
they speculated what happened and everything. I mean, he was very sick, so I don't know if it was accidental or not, but I don't know. But I never got answers. But like the fact that he was just kind of chilling next to me while I was doing a podcast, like kind of brought me a little joy because it's like, is he still just hanging out with me like he used to always do anyway? Like, and he was the type of person who would just sit there and listen to me talk. So it's incredible. Like it really is.
Yeah, that's super nice. Also, yeah, you do have a lot of spirits around you.
Really.
Yeah. Yeah, you have quite a few people actually. I haven't like fully tapped in, but I could just like as I was talking about that story, I can like feel them around me. So they're definitely yeah.
Well, damn. I mean, people always tell me that, and I'm just like, why can't I see them or talk to them? Talk to them. Like I know they're there. I've been told I'm an empath, and I know I can feel them, but I just don't like. There's no way beyond that. No way for me to get beyond that from what I've been told.
Third eye. It's got to work. Do some third eye pineal gland exercises.
Hmm. Well, actually, that kind of brings me to a good topic anyway. Actually, yeah, that's a really good segue. What are some recommendations you have for people who are hesitant about opening up their third eye or just embracing spirituality in general? Like, what would you tell people who are skeptical about it or just don't think they can have the ability?
Everyone has the ability. There's nothing special about me. There's nothing special about the next psychic. We all have a third eye, and we all have the ability to open it if we so choose. So my tip or my advice is to just set an intention for why you want to open up. Why do you want to go down that route? Why do you want to be more intuitive? There are a lot of perks to being an intuitive person, and some of those perks include just being more cognitively aware of how you're feeling, being more cognitively aware of other people, having the foresight when you're making decisions. There's just there are a lot of perks to going down this route. Spirituality, by the way, like I always tell everyone, it is the study of the self. Spirituality is self-love, self-care. It is knowing thyself. It is nothing about spirituality actually has less to do with like the paranormal or seeing spirits. It has more to do with like understanding who you are. So when we do spirituality, we're learning astrology, right? To get to know ourselves. We're doing self-care routines like journaling and meditation to get to know ourselves, right? Everything is about the self. So being afraid of spirituality is being afraid of yourself.
I mean, there was a time in my life where I looked in the man in the mirror and I could feel that. I could definitely feel that at a time. I mean, now I look in the mirror and it's a whole nother feeling. It's like, just like, God damn, you good looking. But back in the day, I scared the shit out of myself because I didn't know what I was capable of or who I was. So it just, I mean, I think everybody goes through that point. I mean, usually it's in the teenage years, maybe early 20s, but everybody goes through that at some point in their life.
I'd say,
So, or I mean, it could even be in your mid 40s. I mean, for God's sake, midlife crises exist for a reason. But so, I mean, it could be a lot of different times, and everybody goes through that at some point. But from what I've been told, everybody has some kind of spirituality gift ability. It's going to vary. You're not going to be able to have the same gifts as other people, but I mean, maybe some people, but you're not going to have the same gifts as everybody. That's not the way it works. We all have different purposes, and you just got to open it. You just got to open it. I mean, I've been told meditation works great. I can't do it for shit, but I've been told meditation works great.
yeah.
One of those people who has a lot of trouble meditating. I just clear my mind. It's not something I do naturally, so it's always something's always jogging around the memory there. But
Yeah, I would
you
oh, sorry, I was gonna
go
say I
ahead.
would reframe it. It's meditation isn't about clearing the mind, it's about focusing.
Yeah, I mean, my wife says that she thinks I have ADHD sometimes, and I don't know. Maybe she's right. I don't know, but I don't. I never thought. I never wasn't one of those kids that people thought had. So
I wasn't either, and I do have ADHD.
well, I mean, maybe. I mean, I'm not that bad. If I put on a TV show I like, I'm not getting up from the couch anytime soon unless I have to. But what the hell did you see? A squirrel? A rabbit? What? Huh? Is there a bear out there? You better tell me there's a bear out there. I want to see it. But pretty sure there's a bear. You'd be cowering, not barking. But so I gotta know because this has been driving me. I've been thinking about this for weeks. Where did you come up with the nickname, the Spiritual Goth?
So I during COVID, I started to post more on my social media, and I am a self-proclaimed goth lady. I started to do goth fashion type posts, and I love goth culture, and I literally just it came to me that I will just be the spiritual goth. It just made sense to me. I'm a goth and I'm spiritual.
I mean, yeah, and kind of. I mean, it makes sense. I was just really curious. I mean, 'cause I'm taking it were you always like into the goth style, or was it like a later in life type thing?
Always. Yeah. Yeah, I was
Nice.
like in the 6th grade with like my Jack Skellington like fingerless gloves, and I think there was like a period of time between like 18 and college in New York City when I went to the new school, everyone was a hipster where I was like trying to be normal. And so if you look at me during like that period of time, was not goth, but as soon as I like moved back to LA and like settled in, I was like, okay, yeah, this is who I am. I can't hide from like My favorite band is Joy Division.
Okay, actually, that's interesting, but that's leading up to a question I was going to ask anyway in a second. But and one, we don't call them goth ladies, we call them gothesses because goddess and goth combined. Come on.
I just like the
Two,
word lady. I use it all the time. It's so
yeah.
funny.
It's actually funny because I know two individuals that are partners that are they're actually in a band called Don't Call Me Lady. Like that's why it's funny to me because, but go check them out, folks. They just released their first big single on Spotify, EP coming soon. But yeah, I was actually going to ask you. I'm like, all right, you said sixth grade. I'm like, I was going to ask, what were your three bands that like that's going to determine what era goth you are. What three bands were your introduction to goth music? There's one name I'm looking for. There's at least
the Psychedelic Furs and Echo and the Bunnymen.
what was the third name you said? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Echo and the Bunnymen.
Okay, I've heard of the Psychedelic Fur. The other two I can't say I've heard of.
No way. Okay, so Joy Division is Love Will Tear Us Apart.
Oh, Joy Division. Okay, Joy Division. I didn't hear the division right, I don't think. Okay, I'm like, I know Joy Division, yeah.
And then the Echo and the Bunnymen did The Killing Moon.
Yeah, it's not ringing the bell, honestly. It might be one of those songs where once I hear the song, I'll be like, oh, absolutely. Okay. Maybe. I mean,
Donnie Darko.
Oh, I definitely would know it then. Okay, yeah, I know Donnie Darko very well.
Me too.
All right, see, this is how I know we're not in the same era goth though, because I was goth at one point. I never really 100% dressed the part because it's just I was a big guy in fashion. Goth doesn't look good when you're a fat guy. It just doesn't. You look like the freaking guy from Butterfly Effect in the one time loop. It doesn't look good. When you're a fat guy, it doesn't look good on you. Trust me. I've seen many of my friends in high school try to pull it off horribly. But it's just... Okay, see, the three bands I would name that I was hoping you name at least one of is... Who?
Bauhaus? Okay, go ahead. Devo?
I have a feeling I'm older than you. I really do. Okay, Devo, no. Okay, I'm not that old, goddammit. But no, I mean, I would... Cradle of Filth was the number one name I was looking for, but I mean Marilyn Manson, obviously, any for all '90s goths, and I mean the third one's interchangeable. It could have been changed through a lot of bands. I personally would say Slipknot.
I don't think they're goth at all.
I was gonna say some people stop chewing the towel moose. Hey, knock it off. Knock it. Yeah, don't give me that look. Knock it off. But I mean, I was gonna say, like, some people wouldn't consider stuff not goth per se, just more metal. But I mean, it's just I don't know. I always considered them somewhat goth with the mask and everything. Yeah. But
don't get me wrong, I'm a metal kid. So but I don't think Cradle of Filth and Slipknot.
Danny Filth is like a elder father of goth. Like I swear to God, like
really, I don't think
if you watch they have that dark romanticism to them that like goth that screams gothness.
They have it, but I think goth is more like for the way that I see goth is like 80s new wave, like Depeche Mode, New Order, like the Smiths, like that kind of thing. But I mean, I just turned 30.
And I'm I got half a decade on you, so I mean, but it's just so I mean, I wasn't okay, yes, you were kind of a 90s kid, I guess, kind of, not really, but late 90s kid, but I mean, see, but I mean, Danny Filth when I was in high school screamed goth, like everything about him. I mean, yes, he's about as tall as a hobbit, but still, it's just, he screamed goth. But, I mean, it's just, I don't know. But you said Donnie Darko, so that makes me feel okay. Because Donnie Darko is the king of goth movies from the
Yeah,
90s. So
I have my Donnie Darko ring right here that I love. It's a little bit of a reach, but it's near. It's just a franc.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, I'll ask, where do you see the spiritual goth going in like the next few years? Like, where are you taking this? What's your ultimate goal? Like, what do you want to do in the world with it? I know it's a big question, but I mean,
It is. It's just like there's one really big thing coming for the spiritual goth. I just don't want to talk about it yet, but I see it going big. I will say that. I will say I see the spiritual goth going pretty big, being very known, and I'm very, very excited for it. I think I worked really hard for this. I ultimately see the spiritual goth being an umbrella for other healers to work under, whereas it's not just me. I have like people that I have trained who are giving readings, doing past life regression therapy, doing Reiki, all of that stuff. That's like ultimately what I see. I do host retreats, so I host one per year so far. I would love to host like 4 retreats a year, or like, one every season. That's like the ultimate goal, is to just like start building even more of a community.
exactly. I mean, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful dream, and I hope the big thing does happen too. I really do. I understand not wanting. I understand what I'm talking about because I have so many plans for this podcast. I don't even want to bring it to voice because then they won't happen. So
Exactly.
I want to manifest. I want to manifest them when it's my time to manifest them. So until then, if I now soon enough listeners, I'm working on it. It's gonna, like the brackets. It's gonna be a fucking long time before it actually happens, but we're working on it. Well, please tell the audience watching, because there have been watchers this whole time. Most of them are on Twitter, so they can't really ask questions, unfortunately. Because get your shit together, X. Come on, get your shit together. Let people ask questions on StreamYard. But where can they find you? Where can they find a spiritual goth and everything that she does and is?
Yeah. I'm the Spiritual Goth on all the platforms. Thespiritualgoth.com is where you can book a reading with me or just say hi. And I'm on Instagram mostly, TikTok as well. Not very much on Twitter, but Spiritual Goth on everything. The Spiritual Goth on everything.
Well, there you go, folks. Check it out. Of course, most of those links will be in the episode description. As always, so you can just click and go. If you forget for the listeners, because watchers, by the time this comes out, you might forget it's there too, honestly. I am so many backlog episodes. So many. But there's something big on the horizon in my life, so I'm trying to plan ahead to take a couple months off towards the end of the year. Well, more to come on that soon, people. But follow me on social media, you'll see what I'm talking about eventually. But
Ooh.
as for as for where you can find me, you all should know this by now. It's literally scrolling across the bottom of the screen. And if for all my listeners, you should really know by now. Shame, just shame, shame. But anyway, check the outro if you don't remember, if you're new. And if you're new, go back about 200 episodes. Check it out, please. But I want to thank everybody for watching tonight. Everybody that wanted to hear the Spiritual Goth speak. You have heard, and I'm glad you got a chance to on my show of all places. And please come back again. I'll be back Saturday morning nice and early with an interview. And then after that, next week, I'm sure I got plenty to do as well on this. So always, my mission's never done to spread the knowledge of the spiritual or supernatural or paranormal or anything else I feel fits in that umbrella. There's a reason we're a science podcast. But thank you for coming on, Anastacia. It's been a pleasure talking to you. It really, really has. And to everybody else, have a good night. And if you're watching, enjoy the eclipse because it's going to be interesting. I kind of dying to see what happens during this. Aliens, hopefully, but we'll see. Until next time. You can find me on Facebook as Jeremy Bryant, or you can find me as Uncensored, Unapologetic, and Untamed UQ Podcast Collective Facebook group. You can find me on Twitter and the Instagram as @JuggaloBastard, or should I say X now. And you can find me on TikTok as @JuggaloBastard Podcast. You can also find me on YouTube as Paranormal The New Normal, and you can also find me streaming on YouTube as Blind Knowledge Network, because all knowledge is blind until they admit Bigfoot exists.